and welcome to Sisumoi TV. I'm Alexandra.
I'm Barbara.
And we are the founders of Sisumoi. And today we are so thrilled to be featuring one of our new friends and this incredible woman that has been brought into our lives by one of our other dear friends, Miss Serena Bufalino. Welcome, Serena.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you both ladies so much for having me on your show today. I'm so excited to be here to share my story with your audience and just to continue the conversation about, how we can shift and change the world.
Oh, we are so thrilled.
Yes, we are.
We're honored. We really are. We've been looking forward to this. Just for those that don't know, Serena is really a force to be reckoned with. She's in Toronto. We met, I guess, last week on a Zoom call, and I was just really blown away by her story. She is one of the most influential women by Elle Magazine. She has received numerous excellence teaching awards in Toronto and one of the top teachers in Canada, I think top 100. So this lady is really inspiring. Our conversation really kind of moved toward Help Heal Humanity, which is this organization that is incredible, a charity that Serena has started, which we're going to talk about today. But as far as Serena, this is we really see you as a sisu leader and a story that you shared with us that we wanted to bring to our audience. So Serena, tell us a little bit about kind of how you got to Help Heal Humanity and kind of how Help Heal Humanity, what it's about, and how it's come to be today.
Okay, so yes, thank you. I am the founder of this international charity. We are a registered charity in Canada and the US. We are currently operating, however, in Canada, the US, Haiti, Germany, Spain, and Belize.
Wonderful.
And none of this was part of my life plan or my life mission. So Help Heal Humanity came into existence from organically through my life actions and through the work that I had dedicated myself to. I first and foremost identify myself as a special education teacher, and as I was a youth, and this is what I feel like is, the most inspiring, is to be able to use my own personal story to inspire others. I struggled significantly with my academics and reading and writing. And so I spent a lot of my adolescent youth in either the special education classroom or in the principal's office because I was misbehaving, because I never really wanted to be in the special education class because that's where, at that time the stupid kids would go. And so I would act out in front of my peers so they didn't know that I was, academically somewhat challenged. And then the poor behavior is what sent me to the principal's office. So again, 20 years later, I ended up becoming the teacher that I always wish I had. And that was a teacher that didn't kick me out of school or kick me out of class, and instead would sit with me and take the time to learn about how I, may have learned differently, and just kind of address my needs, which were different from the normal. And so really right in teachers college, when my professor was giving me my practice teaching and I was told to go and teach at, a high school, middle class, nice suburban neighborhood, to work with, academic kids, I said to my professor, that's not really where my heart and my passion lies. I want to work with the kids that are kicked out of school, the underprivileged youth, and basically anyone who was not being serviced in a mainstream classroom. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay, well, I don't know if that exists, but if you find a principal who will confirm that that is what you're doing, then I fully support it. So I walked in, and at that time I was in Australia. I walked into the local jail, and I had asked if I could do my practice teaching in a young detention center for young offenders. And that's when I would say was one of the first times that my life really significantly shifted, you know, because as we were saying, everything is a matter of perspective and how you approach your life and how you approach situations. And for me to have seen these youth and to see what they go through on a daily basis, to hear their life stories leading up to why they ended up in jail, you know, really taking the time to get to know them, you then develop this heart and compassion, and you want to serve them, and you want to be there for them, and you want to give them the skills and the tools to succeed in life. So that became one of my big addictions. From working in the jail, I went to then go work in Indigenous communities. From that, I flew back to Canada, and I started working in what is considered Canada's largest detention centers. I worked with our country's most extreme cases for child abuse, neglect. I worked with our biggest murderers, our rapists, our prostitutes, you name it, gang members, Bloods, Crips, everything. For 15 years, while most people were doing their jobs, whether it was like mom creating art or you, Alexandra, creating a business, I was spending, 80% of my time way, long after the hours I should have been home and probably eating, sleeping, dating. I was just so immersed in these kids and their lives and their stories and helping to reintegrate them and re-socialize, get them back to being human, get them back to being reintegrated into society. And so it was my students that inspired me to eventually start this charity. So it is quite a long story. What I did with my youth, and my youth, again, Toronto's most at risk, and I love to use them as an example because we're talking about the most at-risk youth in the city. We're not talking about, privileged children, privileged communities. We're not talking about people who have homes, who have money, who have parents, who have structure, stability. We're talking about kids who have nothing. They stepped up to the plate. And so they, like everybody else in the world, want to be treated like they're human. They want to be treated with dignity, love, and respect. But they didn't know where to begin or how to start. So Alexandra, I think you're very familiar with this. What I did was get them off the streets, out of the classroom, and into the world. And my students started to serve the homeless lunch. They started to help the women in the women's shelter. They started to put together packages like at the food bank for low-income families. And they were learning life skills. They were learning social skills. But again, they were starting to learn that not only were they the special kids in need, but they were kids that could actually step up and do something to help somebody else. Mm-hmm. So now they had purpose. Now they had meaning, and that was missing in their lives. So to be able to get them to step outside themselves and focus on something else really shifted who they were. Mm-hmm. Right? And it was through all of our, community work and our community service that, my kids started to gain awareness about the injustices and the inhumanities in the world. And then that's how Peel Humanity was formed, because they wanted to continue to help more people, help more kids, help more communities. And if we were going to do this, then we needed we needed to not only gain momentum, but we needed to start a charity because people started to believe in us and what we were doing. And now we are here. So I can get into more detail with that, but I'll let you ask the questions and then more of the story will unfold.
Oh my gosh.
It's an incredible story. It really is. And I mean, this is really inspiring.
It
And
is.
you're so aptly named, Serena. I mean, you're bringing serenity into people's
That's so
lives
true.
who maybe didn't have a whole lot of serenity. And
You know what, and you are so right, and I thank you for saying that, because never in a million years would I think that I would have had the ability to do what I have now been doing, you know. And again, I was led by my students, and it was in particular every Tuesday, as I mentioned, we would feed the homeless, right? And when we were coming home from feeding the homeless, at the train stations in Toronto, they have, you know, the little TV stations that kind of run the 24-hour news about everything that's happening in the world. And then there was the earthquake in Haiti. So that was back in 2010, January of 2010. And I saw what I saw on the screens, and I looked at my students and I said, you think you guys have it bad? Because, you know, they do have it bad, but again, they you know, they hate the school and they hate the police and they hate the stupid mental health hospital, and, you know, they hate foster care. Mm-hmm. And I said, there are kids in this world that would die for your opportunity, that wish they could be you. And my students were like, Miss, what do you mean? Like, nobody really wants to be us. And I said, yeah, I said, they don't, look at these kids. They don't have a school to go to. They can't go to a hospital when they have, you know, a mental breakdown or when they're feeling sick. Mm-hmm. They don't have these services. And this was maybe the second or third time that my life significantly shifted. And my students looked at me and they said, well, Miss B, you tell us every single morning we can do anything we put our mind to. And I said, yeah, of course we can. And they said, well, we need to put our minds towards building a school for the kids in Haiti. And
incredible.
It's incredible.
Right? And I, obviously, as a teacher, and my whole life I've been a teacher, I don't even really consider myself to be an academic teacher. I consider myself to be more like, you know, their life coach, their cheerleader, just really motivating them, inspiring them, you know, to be whatever they can possibly be. And so in that moment when they pretty much challenged me, you know, they said, we need to build them a school. And I said, well, then a school we're going to build. And of course, I did not know how to build a school in Haiti, Haiti being one of the poorest countries on our entire planet. But I wanted to role model to them, and now really to all beings everywhere, that we really can do anything, like anything we put our mind to. And so it did take a significant amount of time, fundraising, you know, but we were told that if for $25,000, we would be able to build a portable style school, 4 brick walls, a tin roof, a teacher, 15 desks, you know, everything in place. And by law, I could only have 15 kids in my classroom a year. So it was really like this feel-good feeling of, you know, a classroom in Toronto would build and support a classroom in Haiti. And I loved being a teacher. I never thought I would leave my classroom. So this was something that I was going to do, you know, with my students, and continue to be a teacher. So we raised the $25,000, which again really was life skills and social skills for my students, because again, we didn't have parents we could send letters home to and say, you know, parents, can you help us? And we weren't in a high school where we could, you know, put on an event. So we started going into other high schools, and we started going into the community and telling people, you know, this is us, this is what we're doing, will you help us? And that's where the most beautiful acts of kindness. So many people said yes to us. So many people said, yes, come inside our school. Yes, come inside our community, and, dinner parties. I'm a yogi. We did yoga events. I turned, all of a sudden, my birthday became a fundraiser. That was the year we celebrated my birthday. And so we raised the money, and, my students were so ecstatic. Like, every day, they, like, their posture, their self-esteem, their self-worth, everything started to just pick up the momentum of who they were, what they were doing. And so it was just such a beautiful feel-good feeling, and a feel-good story. And we raised the money, super excited, jumped on a plane, flew to Haiti, and again.
I mean,
It really is.
Your story, Serena, and this is my second time hearing it, and my mom's first time hearing you tell it.
I mean, it's energizing. I feel energized hearing your story.
And it
really is.
And I want to keep continuing.
Yes.
It's just, you have said so many things that I've thought, like, wow, like that. You are changing lives. You believed in yourself. You believed in people that most probably aren't believing in. And you're giving them a healing global purpose, which is so surpassing any sort of normal job.
Right.
Or, it's just, talk about sisu, that magical quality to rise above, to the challenge, to overcome the obstacles for these children. And for you, you were a teacher, and now you've got all these kids. Continue with your story. Continue. It's great.
Yeah. And that's part of it too. But just, because I struggled with school and I was always in trouble, I was also a role model for my students. And I was like, listen, I know what you're going through. Miss B, I hate school. And I tell people I'm the teacher that doesn't believe in academics and the yogi who doesn't believe in balance, which totally contradict everything about those positions, right? But again, I want to use my story for the youth, especially youth that, that are struggling, that if you really, it takes discipline, that's for sure. It's not easy, but if you actually put in the time and you start to believe in yourself, that you can overcome so many obstacles, and you can, heal. And that's what I used to say. We're not only going to heal ourselves in this classroom, we're going to heal our friends, our family, our community, and the whole world. And, I get goosebumps because that's what we did. We really did it. We said it every day, whether we believed it or not. And, some of the kids did not believe it. Some of them were, angry in the back, like, yes, this is stupid. I'm not participating. But then I said, okay, well, you just be miserable in the back and you don't ruin it for us over here. And they would watch, and they would start to see the kids shifting and changing. And then, they would start to move closer to the front. So even the kids that thought it was stupid and didn't believe in it, over time, they started to believe. And they started to believe. And like I said, so it was, it was just amazing. Like, my kids, I saw them transform before my eyes, and like I said, they inspired me. And then, they gave me the courage to jump on that plane and fly to Haiti. And as you've heard from my story, I've spent 80% of my life working with the lowest of the low, people that nobody wants to deal with, the criminals, the abusers, the severe mental health, bipolar, schizophrenic, addicts. And so, working in jails, working in mental health hospitals, working on the streets in, really, really hard to serve communities, I was not naive to the injustices of the world, but nothing could have prepared me for what is happening in Haiti. I jumped on the plane. I was nervous, but I needed to do this. And that changed me again in the most profound way. You know, even as we go through this global pandemic, I feel like, you know, my life experiences, and especially Haiti, have prepared me to be okay in any situation. Because it took us we saw that on the screens when we were on the train. So it took us a year to fundraise. The earthquake happened in January of 2010. My first time on the grounds in Haiti digging that first hole was May of 2011. So there was a big time in between that. And when I got off the plane in Haiti, literally, there was rubble, broken buildings everywhere. There was still like decomposing bodies, you know, there was garbage, rubble. There was millions of people living in shambles, like not even a house, not even a tent, like a tarp. Millions. I never seen so many people in my life, and I never seen so many people living in complete unsanitary filth, dirt, inhumane situation of my life. And I think I was just in complete shock. You know, it was just one of those things where you roll up your sleeves and you just start helping. You don't even know what the hell you're doing. You're just doing something is moving you, something is making you do this, and you really can't even process it. I do many volunteer trips to Haiti. Now that I've done this many times, I know what is happening, but I'm always looking at the volunteers and I'm like, they have no idea. It doesn't really hit them until they get home, right?
Right.
But when I was in Haiti and I saw that, and I was just, you know, completely blown away, I met my project partner. His name is David. And David takes me to a mountain. Like, we literally drive for 3 hours, 3.5 hours. You know, if anybody who knows Haiti and they know the traffic in Haiti, it's insanity. Like, nothing compares to the traffic you might have in your hometown, or we think we have in Toronto, or, you know, Chicago. No. This is a whole nother level. You know, you have 9 million people into like 2 broken roads, you know, and we get to a mountain, and when I mean there's nothing in a mountain, there's no electricity, there's no water, there's no shops, there's nothing. And I'm with David, my partner, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And he pulls out these blueprints for this school. And I look at that school and I look at those blueprints and I'm like, who's building that? And he's like, oh, you are. And I said, really? I said, because it was not a portable style school. You know, it was a 15 classroom school, 2 levels, like a building, you know, it was a school. And I was like, really? And he's like, if you're, everybody, you know, all those tents and all those people you saw living in the rubble and all those people you saw living in shambles. And I said, yes. He goes, in a few months from now, the government's going to move them all here. And the government's just going to throw them in this mountain with nothing, not even their tents. They're going to have to fend for themselves. So if we're going to build a school, we need to build a school for these kids, and we need to do it properly. And, you know, I didn't have the heart to say no. You know, you can't see something like that and not be moved by it. And so again, I didn't have the heart to say no. And, you know, I believed that, you know, I was being used for the greater good of others. And, you know, I was just this vessel between people in Canada and a community in Haiti. And I agreed to allow myself to continue to be being used. And I said, okay, well, I guess we're building a school. And that's basically, you know, we dug the first hole. You know, we worked for 2 weeks. We didn't get very much done in 2 weeks, but at least we got something started and a commitment to continue. And then I had to get on a plane and come back home to continue teaching in my classroom, right? Because I'm a full-time teacher. So that basically is how it happened. You know, I continued to be a full-time teacher. I continued to fundraise after school or during school. And I just continued to do the very best that I could every day, every year, until we finished the school.
It's incredible.
Fantastic.
It's incredible.
It really is.
I like, people that will listen to this are gonna think, if she can do it, if these kids can do it, we all can do it. You know?
Really.
But what's different, Serena, is you allowed yourself to be, you know, the steward of service to help heal humanity, and you kind of allowed your soul to just go with it. And I think a lot of people, that's where it stops.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people stop there. They kind of think, oh no, this isn't what we talked about, this isn't what we agreed to, and they kind of shut down. And these 3 stories you've shared, those 3 moments in your life where the branches were just totally taking you to help heal humanity where you are now. I mean, you pushed through.
Yeah. That's what I said. You know, I've never given up. I don't think giving up is part of my DNA. You know, anytime I make mistakes, which is usually multiple times a day.
We all do.
And honest. You know, and that's what I would say to my students. It's all a matter of perspective. Just like, you know, a mistake is not really a mistake if you just look at it as something that's pointing you in a new direction. It's just telling you what not to do and pushing you closer to what is right to do. So, you know, I as long as I continue to have this brain that thinks in the way that it thinks, I know that I'm always going to be okay. And, you know, I tell people, of course I didn't know how I was going to build a school in Haiti. Of course a $20,000 project that turned into a $250,000 project. If I really would have sat down and tried to figure it out logistically on a piece of paper, every single red flag would have came up, every fear, every insecurity, everything would have screamed no. But I didn't listen to any of that because I really just let my heart lead the way, you know, and I think, you know, so many of us, and part of Help Heal Humanity, what I would eventually like is to be in schools all over the world, really just teaching kids how to be human, you know, how to take care of themselves, their life skills, their social skills, how to be in relationships, how to be in an actual relationship with yourself. Nobody knows how to do that, you know, nobody teaches us these things, how to actually love yourself, how to take care of yourself, how to prepare yourself, your feelings, your emotions, your heartaches, you know, especially in today's times. Kids, you know, with social media and bullying and cyberbullying, you know, it's a global pandemic. Oh my God.
I know.
And everyone is just, you know, everyone is suffering. Suffering is a part of life, but really just giving people the tools and the resources to be able to pick themselves back up. You know, we all fall, you know, I fall, I still fall. We all make mistakes, you know, during this global pandemic. I'm sure everybody is questioning everything in their lives, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's resilience and it's picking yourself back up, just picking yourself back up. And if we can just start to teach everyone how to pick themselves up, even when they're down, you know, just those little shifts, those little shifts in humanity, in being kind, in being loving. That's how I feel like we're gonna, you know, change the world and make it a lot better.
Oh yes, yeah. We agree, totally.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Everything you say, you know, and we said this last time, you know, and for those listening, this is our second time actually meeting, and this was like, we're so grateful. A good friend introduced us both, and we were like, when I told my mom of this, I said I met this incredible woman on Zoom, and like, oh my God, what a way to start your day hearing this story. It empowers you.
Yes.
You bring empowerment to trusting yourself and trusting the process. And what's so beautiful is a lot of these people, you know, I think people think they're less valuable. They think, oh, you know, they don't have this or they don't have that, so they can't contribute this or that. But what you're tapping into is a much deeper way of living. You know, you're tapping into something much more meaningful. And you know, these kids have empathy, they have perspective, they have that at a young age. I mean, the kids that you're working with, to be able to see, wow, I thought I had it bad and I was feeling sorry for myself and bitter at the world. I actually, like, wow, like the shifts in them, and they're going to grow up and they're going to help shift other people. So healing the world. And you know, you said it started with the kids who inspired you, and you know, it started with education. You know, we mentioned the pandemic and building the school and the vision for Help Heal Humanity. How are you guys during COVID? I mean, what can people do? How can people help?
Thank you for asking that question. Well, currently, like I said, Help Heal Humanity, we focus primarily on education, usually helping the most at-risk youth. And like I said, we've developed programs in Chicago, in New York, in Belize, in Germany, in Spain, you know, so we're helping at-risk youth all over the world. The Haiti School Building Project, that opened up finally in September of 2018. It has been running successfully for 2 years now. So I'm very, very, very proud of that. And I think, and you know, all of our donors, because, you know, I took a massive leap of faith and I left the classroom. There's a story behind that. I think for time purposes, maybe I'll skip that story, but it is a good one.
We're going to have to do a follow-up. Literally, we could talk to you for hours. Yes. I mean, it's literally, I just love her. Yes. She's amazing.
And she's
Thank you.
That's a real gift.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
So true.
Yeah, it's a real gift. It's a beautiful thing.
And I thank all the donors, because without them supporting and believing in what I'm doing, there's absolutely no way that I can do this. You know, and we did have a student sponsorship program for the 121 kids in our program, and that is, you know, our primary focus. And part of that school sponsorship fee includes a hot meal a day for the kids to have. And that is usually the only meal a day that the kids are getting, right? So with COVID, things have shifted tremendously. Obviously, the kids are not in school anymore, so they're all at home. And when I say at home, I'm talking like huts that are like made out of tin and, you know, plastic material, really made out of garbage. And they're living in this heat, they're living in this filth, in this disgust, and they have no food. And Haiti in particular right now is actually even made it on CNN, which usually doesn't happen, for the massive food shortage that is happening in that country. The borders are shut down, the markets are closed, you know, people can't find food on a good day. And now you throw a global pandemic in the mix, and now without school being opened, they lost their ability to have that one meal a day. And so my team on the grounds in Haiti, they said, Serena, we need to start feeding them. Yeah. And I said, well, I don't really, you know, we're a very grassroots charity. You know, we've only been legal and in existence for, you know, 1 year in Canada, 2 years in the USA. And we don't really have those kind of funds right now to be able to feed the kids. Mm-hmm. And so now we've shifted our focus, and we are running a specific campaign that is food.helphealhumanity.org. And this specific campaign is bringing 25-pound bags of rice, peas, oils, milk to each of the families. We're trying to do it on a monthly basis. April was a success. May was a success. June, I haven't been able to fulfill June's wishes, or July. Now we're in July. And I'm trying really hard to push this campaign, because I am getting phone calls on a regular basis, or I'm getting messenger emails, just how the severity of the starvation in the country and how we need to send money to keep them alive and keep them safe. So my main focus right now is trying to keep these kids alive, trying to keep them safe. And, you know, when they finally can return to school, things will change. But until then, it's a big push to try to feed them, you know. And I do understand that this entire world, you know, we've all been, it doesn't matter who you are. You're the richest of the rich, the poorest of the poor, you know, the prime minister, the minister, you know, the president, the homeless person. Everybody's being affected by COVID. For sure we are. And we are all living in times of uncertainty. But for the millions of us, especially in the Western world, who have a home, who have electricity, who have food in our fridge, you know, we might be scared about, you know, what our future looks like, but we're still getting through the days. And there are millions of people in this world that are going through the global pandemic, just as you and I, but they don't even have literally 5 cents to buy, you know, a couple strands of rice. So I'm really, you know, again, shifting, you know, my perspective and trying to raise my voice and my consciousness so that each and every single one of us can come together and do our part to help heal humanity.
Yeah.
So thank you, ladies, so much. Like, thank you, because it takes people like you to, you know, allow me to share my story on your platform. So I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, we are gonna be sharing all
Yes,
over.
absolutely.
And I think that, you know, there's so many wisdoms that you have said,
Yes,
Serena.
today.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away is that giving back heals.
Yes.
And you can believe in yourself, and you can do it no matter what. And I think that this is food.helphealhumanity.com, right?
Yeah.
.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will share that.
Absolutely.
And you are such a sisu leader, and we are so honored that you took your time to be with us today. And we look forward to a day after COVID when we can actually meet you.
Yeah.
But
maybe one day I'll be able to bring you to Haiti, or, you know,
yes,
some people in your audience, you know, because I do
absolutely.
you know, so many different extensions of Help Heal Humanity. We do art for humanity, music for humanity, yoga for humanity, dining for humanity, corporate for humanity, business for humanity. Basically, if you are alive,
yeah,
right.
If you have a pulse, you can help.
And I, you know, and I truly believe that every single one of us in this world has been given a gift. You know, Mama, you are a beautiful artist, and now daughter Alexandria, you are an entrepreneur. And I really believe that I'm a caregiver and I'm a lover, you know, and I really would love to be able to go back to my gift, which is impacting these communities. But my big call to action is, you know, whatever gift has been given to you on this planet, to just donate that one day out of the year back to humanity. And if you just give up that gift for one day, give your cooking skills, give your, you know, your leadership skills, give your business skills, give it back to, you know, people who really need it, you know, that's the way we're going to heal the planet. That's the way we're going to shift the world. And again, it begins with each and every single one of us. I truly believe we are all born with it, you know, and it's a heart and it's a willingness to serve. And again, I would say, and you know, we're all suffering and we're all going to go through tragedies and we're all going to go through a lot of heartache in our lifetime. But if you can remember, in your darkest moments is usually your opportunity to rise above, and that if you can step outside yourself and be of service to other people and be a caregiver and be a lover, that is what's going to change your life. That spiritual practice that is not being taught as a mainstream practice in life, that is what's going to not only shift and transform you, but all humanity.
I agree.
It's so
beautifully
beautiful.
put.
It's
Yes.
so well said, and we couldn't be
is.
behind that idea more. I mean, that is so beautiful, and we are so grateful for
Yes.
your time, Serena. You are
Yes.
just incredible, and we're so grateful for you sharing your story. And
Thank you for letting me share it.
oh,
Yeah.
it's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
And we're gonna put it up on our website and share. And
Absolutely.
so excited to hopefully volunteer one day with
And
you
help you.
and help.
And if you can send me the link under because this is your business as well, I would put this under our Business for Humanity page as what you're doing. And again, what I like to do is use you as an example to other businesses, what is possible, right? And again, it's using each other as examples and being, leaders for change and making a difference in the world. So again, I'm passing that baton back to you for being amazing. And
this is just the beginning for us.
Right.
I mean, we said that the first time we met, that we were all meant to meet. Yay!
Yeah.
Oh, Serena. Well, thank you again, hon, for your time. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you for everybody that has listened to this amazing, inspiring interview. And everybody take care and check out Help Heal Humanity, give back, volunteer, shift, and we can all shift together. So everyone, and thank you, Serena, for your time.
Thank you.
And we will talk hopefully much sooner than later. Bye.